What foods are absolutely delicious but are a pain in the ass to eat? There is a type of wild asparagus in the south of France that's absolutely delicious to eat, but you can only eat it in a small quantities, as too much will give you diarrhea. So quite literally a pain in the ass. There's a type of fish like that too. It's often sold in inexpensive sushi restaurants as tuna to economize. It tastes fine, but it contains an indigestible oil. Actually, I think it's a higher molecular weight thing, like a wax. In smaller amounts, it's fine, but if you gorge yourself on it, you'll know about it in a couple of hours. Source: I'm a sushi glutton. Reminds me of butterfish, white tuna, escolar, etc. at sushi restaurants. Delicious, but if you eat more than like 3 to 5 pieces of it, you will shit your pants before you reach your car. Same with mulberry fruit. Even worse with yew fruit. A very moderate amount can kill you, and the seeds are totally poisonous. The fruit is very tasty though. Just don't eat more than 2 or 3 small berries at a time, spitting the seeds out. Ever had a fresh jackfruit? They taste delicious, like a cross between a leaflet, pineapple, and a banana. But good God, the sap! The sap of a jackfruit is a construction-grade adhesive, and it is nearly impossible to open and eat without getting it everywhere. You can just barely get it off is by scrubbing with oil and then soap and water. Me and my friends tried to buy a jackfruit once, and it was $75, so we decided that wasn't an experience we needed. Is anyone going to bring up the scent? The scent of a fresh jackfruit is terrible to me. My family once brought back 4 from the Philippines and opened them all to be jarred in one go. I ran out the house so fast because the odor was so pungent that it took over the entire house. I didn't come home till my family was finished, had opened every window, and had other removing candles all over the place. Sure, it tastes so amazing, and I can't say no to vegan jackfruit pulled pork, but I'd rather deal with my grandpa deep frying fish in the house than jackfruit being cracked open. Don't even bring up durian, because I will put on a respirator with a dab of tea tree oil on my nose, just to not smell that stuff. My dad makes a really delicious cherry jam, but he doesn't remove the stones, because spitting them out is part of the experience. He says that because he doesn't want to do the hard part. My older relatives used to tell me it's because the pit adds flavor. Didn't matter either way to me. I don't like the flavor of cherries. My dad makes a shit cherry jam. Reminds me of my grandma, who made delicious lemon marmalade, but left all the seeds in because it doesn't matter. And then, when you eventually bite into one in your toast, it's the most bitter thing in the world. Prickly pear, also known as cactus fruit. These are a pain in the ass at every step. Picking them is a huge risk for getting stabbed by cactus needles. Peeling the skin off is way more challenging than other fruits. And then they are full of seeds that cause major GI discomfort if you bite into them by accident. When I was young, we were hiking in the desert with my dad and found a cactus with a prickly pear on it. My dad carefully picked, peeled, and ate it, but must have missed a thorn. It got stuck under his tongue, and he couldn't get it out. He started to hallucinate a bit, and we got lost. Eventually, he admitted to my sister and I that he was hallucinating and was lost and asked us to help find the way back to the river. After a couple hours, we did find our way back. My dad laid in the water and drank a beer until he recovered. Coconut. Always have hard times breaking the shell and then picking all the delicious coconut meat. I figured there's a reason they always use a machete whenever you buy a fresh one from a roadside stand in some tropical country, because that's the only convenient way to get them open. My ex was born in the Philippines, and on a visit there, we went to visit an uncle who had a coconut plantation. When he heard I'd never tasted buko, he whistled for a young boy who, shoeless, shimmied up the tree, came down with 3 nuts, and after a few quick swings of his machete, I was enjoying fresh coconut juice. Fast forward a few years. We were on a Caribbean cruise, and we visited a friend on Cayman. We smuggled back a couple of green coconuts to our room. I spent about 6 hours with my Swiss Army knife trying to get the thing open. Use a power drill to drill 2-3 holes on the top. Drain the water through a strainer over ice. Then put the husk into a plastic bag or 3 and swing it at the ground outdoors on concrete, not indoors. Everything will crack and you're basically done. Just wedge a knife or a spoon between flesh and husk and give it a twist and it comes loose. Keeps for a long time too. Those caramel apple lollipops. I have a fake front tooth. One of those literally pulled out a tooth cemented to the top of my mouth. Reminds me of when I was visiting my sister. She was caramelizing some apples for her kids while they were at school. I had the idea of caramelizing a couple onions, peeled the skin and the first layer off so it would be easier to bite into. My 2 little nephews came barging, won the door of the bus. I had been waiting on the little guys to come home like a kid waits on Christmas. Soon as they came in, they saw the plate of caramel apples, so I gave them one. They immersed themselves into the apples. After the first huge bite, the look on their faces, I can still see it like it was yesterday. I don't know, I guess you would have to be there, but it was definitely hilarious. Finally my time to shine. Put them in the fridge, then cut slices off and eat them. The caramel doesn't get all sticky, the apple is crisp, and the outcome is delicious. I once got my teeth stuck together from one of those. My sister had to help me pry my jaw apart before we realized that I could just get some warm water in my mouth. Artichokes. A famous French comic, Coluche, said, "Artichokes are really a poor man's food. It's the only dish where you have more on your plate when you're finished than when you started." Crawfish. Being from Baton Rouge, I love a good crawfish boil, but the time and effort it takes to peel them makes it a pain in the ass for sure. Some people are better at peeling than others, and I'm better than average at say, but it still can cut up your fingers. Also, with the time it takes to peel them versus the low yield, I usually just have to fill up with the corn and potatoes. Otherwise, I'll just be hungry still no matter the amount. Still a fun and tasty event. Eating crawfish is a fun thing to do with a bunch of friends, family. Sit around the table, make a mess, have a few beers, and have some fun conversations. But yeah, it's a pain in the ass to peel them, and I'm not very good at it. I'm not from the South, so I rarely practice. I also will just go ahead and eat more corn taters to fill myself up. The more crawfish I eat, the hungrier I get. I think I burn more calories peeling them than I get eating them. Corn. It's not particularly hard to eat, but it's just annoying to eat. It's delicious and I love it with salt, pepper, and butter, but the kernels always get stuck in my teeth and it stays there for far too long and can be difficult to remove. Pomegranates. Pain in the butt seeds and the juice really stains. One time I spent God knows how long opening a pomegranate. Finally got all the delicious seeds out, took a bite, and found out I'm allergic to pomegranate, and I did all that for nothing. Oranges. I love the taste and juice, but they make your hands super sticky. Sunflower seeds. Take forever to get a handful and gone in seconds. When you know how to eat them, you'll be eating a ton without even realizing. Turks eat a lot, for example, when watching the TV.